Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Gotta Games podcast. This time we're here for Season 9, which is the greatest season thus far. That being said, we have a couple people joining me. So, first up, Neth.
Hello.
We got Jacob.
Hey.
And finally, making his podcast debut, AJ.
Hey.
So, just like the other podcasts in the past, we'll be going through each name, and then at the end, we'll give a first boot pick and a winner pick. And, this should be fun.
So the order we're going to go in is Nolan's power rankings. We're going to go from the lowest to the highest. And at the bottom, at number 27, is Kian.
So, for reference, real quick, I'm going to just say this now. We're doing this podcast on the 23rd of February, 2025. So, obviously, after this point, the teams have already been decided. The first daily is in the books, and we already have two people in elimination, Kian being one of them. Honestly, I'm really confused by him. He keeps messaging me in DMs instead of using his confessional chat, so I don't really know that he knows what's going on necessarily. He won the Race Around the World qualifier and upset a bunch of veterans in the process, which is a flex. But at the same time, as anyone that's played that game knows, if you're good at that, and anyone can be good at Race Around the World if you've played it enough. That being said, I have him at the bottom because he's going in the first elimination. I really don't know how he's going to do socially or physically. And, the team he picked was the most inactive by far at the first daily. And even if he somehow wins and survives, I could see him getting thrown in again before everything happens. So that's unfortunately why I have him last.
Yeah, I just completely agree with that. He was on the bottom of my list, too, if I had to make a list. I just haven't seen much, and knowing that he's in the first elim, I just don't have the highest of hopes for him, either physically or socially. So I agree with Nolan's assessment of Kian.
And AJ.
Yeah, I would honestly also have to say something along those lines. I feel like Kian, he's not really showing too much at the moment, at least. He kind of just followed whatever I believe Adore told him to do for his team pick anyway. He didn't even do rankings when everyone was supposed to do a ranking. I just don't see him doing well, and if he does make it through his elimination, I don't see him really making it to phase 2. It doesn't seem like he has the connections.
All right, well, next up, at number 26, we have Nat. Nolan, explain.
So Nat actually won one of the last qualifiers after showing up to a lot. If you guys don't know who Nat is, their Roblox is Nicolo size, so I'm sure as both of you were at a bunch of the qualifiers, you probably saw that name quite a bit. I have Nat here at the bottom because as a rookie, obviously that puts you in jeopardy, and I also don't really know what connections he has. I'm happy that he got on this season because I like to root for people that obviously put in a lot of work and did a lot of the qualifiers. So in that regards, I hope he does well. But I know he's somewhat kind of coming off as maybe a little bit annoying to people like Banana for messaging him a lot and asking to be on his team and asking for his flag. So I think that's a knock to his game. But, I just have to have him here because I don't really know what he can bring, and the fact that it took him a long time to qualify makes me a little worried.
Jacob, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Nat, I'd maybe have him slightly higher, but I agree near the bottom. I think just as someone that's kind of come across as annoying to a little bit of people, expecting Banana's flag without even being on the team, I would just think it's logical for Banana to give the flag to someone on his team. So for Nat to even think he's got a chance at getting the flag just kind of shows he's not reading the room very well. I feel I don't know, I could see him sticking around. I don't know if he'll be an immediate target, but I don't think he's super long for the game.
AJ?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, the one thing I can say is that, yeah, he's annoying, but at least he is trying to put work in. I definitely see, most of the time I have a notification on the one-on-ones, I see it's not with someone And I think that's like a good testament. I don't know if I would put him like very much the second to last person, maybe slightly higher. But again, like everyone has said, like he can't really read the room. So it would be probably a good sign to see that he's probably gonna go eventually if he doesn't start picking up on the social cues around him.
Okay, well, next up on the list, what do we think about Nacho?
So, Nacho Man is another person that I have relatively, obviously, third from the bottom on the list. They did show up for quite a few qualifiers, not as much as some of these people did, but he was at a decent amount. I previously played a Survivor game with him and Mikey, so I know obviously he has like that connection there. But obviously, it seems that he might want Mikey to go, so maybe not. That being said, there's the whole Pixie dust situation that's going on, where he seemed to piss off Pixie, who, in my opinion, is probably one of the strongest people here. So I think he's being seen as annoying, and if I'm not mistaken, at one point he was the possible vote to possibly go in this round, but things may have changed. I don't know. We'll have to see where the results land. But I can't really get over those two things. The fact that he's a rookie. He has a couple connections of people he knows, but I don't think anyone's really going to be like upset if he goes home.
Yeah, I would agree with the placement on Nacho Man. I think he's got a big personality, as seen in the qualifiers. He was very present on some of the calls during the games, and I think will always be active and committed. But I think just given the team structure, it seems like even if the green team is not currently voting for him, he's like the backup vote for his own team, and I just think he will not be necessarily in the power structure moving forward. So I think he'll give it his best shot. I just think he's on the outs already and isn't going to be able to recover.
Yeah, I would say the same. I would say that like Nacho really isn't making like a good impression with people. I do think like the little Pixie dust situation was a little bit of an overreaction on Pixie's end. I think it was kind of like, I don't know, just a little weird. But like obviously understanding that Pixie is a strong player in this game, that he can react whatever way he wants, and if you as a new player coming into this and you're gonna piss someone off like him, you're making mistakes already. And these mistakes will carry on throughout the game. I know for me at least, if I saw someone named Nacho Man in a season with me, I'd probably be going after them anyway just because of that name.
All right, well,
Sorry.
next up at number 24, we have Blaze. Nolan, we'll start with you.
So, Blaze previously qualified for Arsenal, and there were only like 5 people that showed up to that game, but I will say it was impressive because he did dismantle Patrick, which is something that many people struggle to do in these games. That being said, I have him ranked here. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there was a little bit of miscommunication for him and his team. Like, just looking at the Team Dynaco people, he's obviously like on the outs. He's definitely going to be like the house, their vote, if I had to imagine. And I do think he's maybe a bit physically stronger than where I have him ranked. But I do think there's a strong possibility that we see him in this first elimination. And he is a rookie with not that many connections. And if people don't pick up on that, like some of the veterans, and he doesn't put himself out there more, I could see him going home. If not this round.
Yeah, I agree. He was really good at Arsenal. I mean, I remember like being kind of shocked at this person I'd never even seen or heard of, just being really good at that game. But really has angered some people on the team. I think just like miscommunication over whose ult was whose led to like just a lot of drama on that team. And he's going to be pretty much voted in by the team. And depending on what the first elim is, I don't actually know what it is, but I could see him losing if it's not something that just falls in his skill set, so I don't expect he'll be long for the game either. He's probably pretty appropriately placed on the list.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, like, I really don't know much about Blaze. I mean, I can already see in the Dynaco chat that they're telling him, like, there's the door, bitch. Like, it's rough, especially when you have, like, Riley and Adores. Like, I would consider both of them as kind of leaders of that alliance. Both kind of just telling them like pack your bags, you're going home, as like a bad sign that like if you're not out this round, you will be gone within the next 2 rounds. Like phase 1, they're gonna have a lot of power and a lot of position to decide, especially if they win a challenge or if they keep losing. So I think he might get flag blocked even.
Well, that brings us to next up on the list is David. So who wants to start?
I can take this one, I guess. I mean, David is actually the first veteran that appears on the list. And I don't think he's definitely not as weak as where he's ranked. But the fact that he's automatically going in this first elimination is obviously not a good sign. That being said, I do think a bunch of the people that might be going in, some of the people placed above him, like lower in the power rankings, he could easily beat depending on where the randomizer puts him. But at the same time, he could get put up against some other people we'll talk about that could beat him. He's only played 1 season, and it was season 4. That being said, he absolutely killed the Blade Ball qualifier. Like, he won like 4 out of the 5 rounds I think we did. So very experienced in that game. That being said, like, he's gonna fall into the role of like being with Riley and a bunch of those type of people. But at the same time, I feel like aside from like that, he's not really the most connected in that group, so that could put him in danger. And obviously, like I said, he's in the first elimination, so you know he could easily be going home first. But I hope he does well. He hasn't played since season 4, and that's the second longest break we have on this season. So I'm hoping he redeems himself.
Yeah, the big question mark is just his performance in this first elim. I think if he makes it through the elim, he'll probably make it to phase 2. That team will go after, like we already talked about, Nacho Man first. So I think he'll be fine if he makes it past this elim. The question will just be if he gets first boot or makes it to phase 2, in my opinion.
AJ, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, not too much. I mean, he's kind of just like there. I know he's in a position where he's good with the Riley alliance as well, but like, I don't know much about him. I know that he played before, and sometimes coming back in God of Games is like a blessing or a curse. Sometimes you could be viewed as someone that's a non-factor and really have to get pushed along, but in a game like this where kind of need to earn your keep every single phase, I don't know if he can really pull it off as well. It's a shame. I do like seeing sometimes the veterans that come back after a long time to do well, but in this case, I don't have much hope for him, unfortunately.
All right, next up is Jonas.
So we are back on the rookie train. For those of you that don't know, Jonas replaced Aiden after he decided to quit the game for personal reasons or something like that. That being said, he wasn't even like the second highest score for Watermelon Go. That person actually declined their invite. So after that I looked and he was the 3rd highest. So Jonas was someone that really showed up when I'm talking to him for these qualifiers to help someone else and like play because they were told to play, and that person isn't here actually, so that's kind of funny. They obviously came in like a day late, and I do think they're pretty locked in with like their team and those people, but like honestly with like Team Dynaco, which I believe he's on, if he could be in danger if Blaze goes home, I could see him possibly being one of the people that gets like sacrificed to go in elimination if nobody volunteers. But I hope he does well. I mean, he seems somewhat happy to be here, so hopefully he surprises us. I just can't rank him higher than where I put him.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he's appropriately placed. He seems really likable from the little I've seen from him. Like, he just seems chill compared to some of the people that maybe he's grouped with right now. But I think that could work against him moving forward. I feel like he could be seen as somewhat expendable on the team. If that team continues to lose and has to send people to elimination, if the targets in front of him, like Blaze and Nacho Man, go home first, I could see him maybe being like a round 3 casualty or something, just an easy sort of vote that maybe wouldn't make the biggest fuss about it. But I hope he does well. It's probably got to be hard coming in a day late, so somewhat rooting for him, but I just would need to see a little more from him first to see if he'll be long for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I could second that for sure, or third that, I guess. I mean, Jonas did come into the game late, so like there is that challenge of like people were literally making alliances within 20 minutes of the one-on-one starting. So it's definitely gonna be a challenge for him in that aspect. I mean, I really would like to see him go far, but even in his alliance that he is on for Team Dinoco, him and David were added as like an afterthought in a way. So it's kind of like if the numbers, because it's a 6-person alliance on a team of 7-person alliance on a team of 9. After those two go, him and David are probably the next ones. Actually, sorry, David's a captain. He will probably go soon, which is a shame, especially because that profile picture, he flying. You can keep that in.
Okay.
Well, that brings us to the next person on our list, which I think, Jacob, you could start with this person. At number 21, we have Banana.
Everyone thinks I'm the world's #1 banana hater, which maybe
Well,
I am.
yes.
I predicted first boot last season correctly. Sue me. I'm sorry I was right. But no, I mean, I was prepared to come on here and predict Banana first boot again after seeing the events of the start of this season. Banana got jumped for qualifying at the last second. Banana got ranked very lowly and ended up being a captain. But of the captains, Banana picked the strongest team, I'd say, like, by far. Banana did a good job with the draft, and the team won, and now he's got a flag. So, I mean, I think he's well-positioned to make it to Phase 2 now. I'm actually excited to see what he can do. Banana redemption season, I guess. Maybe I'm not the #1 banana hater anymore. So, looking forward to see what he has to offer this season.
Yes. Yeah, so, I don't know. I think after... like, if I had ranked him here maybe before the qualifier, I think, it's like, okay, that makes sense. I think after, maybe I'm a little bit wrong. Maybe I'm a little bit mistaken ranking him this low. But like Jacob said, after his performance of, like, obviously getting first boot, and this season before, he had, like, he's beat Otto before, so he's not, like, terrible by any means. I don't know necessarily how good he is. But my thing with him is, like, obviously he did piss off a few people, and, like, he shouldn't be their #1 concern if they're thinking logically. But then again, he's, like, the lowest hanging fruit for, like, the quote-unquote other side of the house. That being said, like Jacob said, he picked a very good team, and he obviously won the last non-live qualifier, the no jumping obby. I don't know. The one thing he has in his favor is, with how the second format's going to go, is he can pick any partner to start with, basically. He can pick anyone in the game, and they're going to be his partner no matter what. So that could be of his benefit, and he could have a really good partner for Phase 2. But outside of that, like, even past that, I don't know that he wins a final scenario. And with everything else going on, like, if they lose a challenge, he could still be voted in by the winning team. So, yeah.
I mean, I technically played with Banana last season. Didn't really, though, because he was gone so fast. But, like, I really do hope to see Banana have some success in this game. I don't think he's a winner. I don't think he's set up to be a winner, especially in a format like this where it's probably going to be one winner. But I would love to see him go a little bit further than what I've seen of his performances in the past. I'm rooting for an underdog, I feel like, in this case, and I feel like at least he can make it to Phase 2. I think if he stays with the mentality of how he picked his team, and if he picks his duo partner right, I think he could go far. I think he could maybe even get to Phase 3. Do I see him, though, having the strategic and social gameplay to really get him that longevity, to get him to that final? I don't know. I mean, he's really such a wild card player in this game that it makes me excited to watch him, but like I want to see an alliance chat where he's included in first, because right now I'm seeing not a lot of that. I'm seeing him have those conversations, but he's not getting in where he needs to be, and that's a little bit of a concern. But kudos on his flag. I'm happy he has one.
All right, number 20. This is someone that I know because I played with them in the past. Hazel.
So obviously, I also played for Hazel for about 2 minutes. That being said, I know Hazel and the next person we'll get to are very close. So I just wouldn't necessarily associate them with the core of this alliance that I would say Riley and Adora are more so at the helm of. So, I mean, I think she's sneakily good. Like, she was never anything special when me and Neth played with her in competitions, if I remember correctly. But that being said, I do think God of Games is obviously different, and she obviously won Custom Duels, which was the sword fighting game, which I was shocked about. But I do think I have her here just because I don't really know where she stands. And even as opposed to some of the other bigger like threats out there on that side of the house, if she's not like messaging people, then I don't really know how she's gonna do. So I mean, I hope she does well. I mean, she's on Team Dynaco. I think she's one of the more insulated people, but I don't know. I think she'll make it past phase 1, but from there, I don't really know.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I don't know Hazel. I'm just going based on what I've seen so far. I feel like she's going to be well insulated with her group, but her weakness will be that she's not going to build connections outside of sort of the big Riley Adore alliance. I feel like people like Riley and people like Adore will be more outgoing with sort of the others in the game. Hazel's giving me the energy of someone who will just kind of go with the flow with her group and get as far as she makes it by doing that, but I don't see her making sort of that big statement and doing something really, I guess, like self-interested. I feel like she's just going to be more go with the flow, but seems to be good enough to probably make it to phase 2 and maybe farther.
Yeah, I mean, honestly accurate. I think that I kind of like her. She's giving like cunty vibes. I do like that energy that she's bringing to the table. I just don't know, like everyone has said, I don't know how far she's going to go to really talk to those people outside of her alliance, to really have those connections, because at the end of the day, like, Jacob can say it, I can say it, we made connections outside of our groups to make sure that we got to a final at least. And I don't see that she will be doing that. I think that she's more so like, let's see how far I can get with my little group and see how far that takes me. But I feel like when push comes to shove, she might even start getting into fights.
Okay.
And as Nolan said, this next person, close to Hazel, and number 19, Alexia. So Nolan, you can talk about Alexia more if you like.
So, Alexia won the Algeco Safflon qualifier, which, for those of you that weren't there, they had a pretty stacked lineup of people. There were quite a few good people there. I think, obviously, from what I've seen, her and Hazel are really good friends. And one of the qualifiers that I did watch her play that she didn't win was the Big Brother qualifier, and she was like a menace in terms of competitions. So if she can keep that up, I think she deserves to probably be a little bit higher. That being said, just speaking based off like what we know now, she is unfortunately part of the McQueen team, which I don't really, as of this point, I don't really see them winning any of these 3 dailies. So with them having 3 people go in each time, especially if they lose some numbers, I could see eventually her going in. Not that I'm worried that she will lose, but similar to Hazel, I just really don't know how much she's going to put into connections of the other side of the house. And I don't necessarily know how high she is up on her own side of the house. So, yeah, I think she's fine where she's at.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now she's decently well positioned on the McQueens. I think there's going to be sort of more of an internal bloodbath within that group on, is it Dinoco? How do you say that word?
Dynaco.
I've never seen Cars. I'll just go on the record and say that. I think the McQueens, I guess their sort of core group feels smaller to me, so I feel like Alexia will be well positioned within the team. But beyond phase 1, I just don't know how well she'll do yet. I think she's got the competition skills to maybe make it to phase 3 and we decently far in that. But socially, I will need to see a little bit more. The jury's still out.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how she does. I mean, I've heard of her before. I think that she can be a pretty good competitor. I mean, she has the right friends. It's not just that she has Adora and Riley. She is friends with Joy. She is friends with Spoony. So, I mean, like, Spoony is someone that has a lot of social capital in this game. We've saw it with the rankings. So I want to see if she can maybe ride on that coattail. I don't know if she is really that much in danger with Dinoco. I mean, I feel like Mikeal and Blaze and Nacho and Jonas and maybe even Thomas could go in before her, factoring in that David's going in this round. So I feel like she might be able to buy herself some time if she needs to. Oh wait, she's not on Dinoco, she's on McQueen. Even with that team, I think she could buy herself some time with Kian there and Adam and Bart and Mikey. I think Mikey might be in danger more closely than her on that team at least.
All right. And next up, not to be confused with the Simpson of the same name, we have Bart.
So, actually, I feel like I've definitely heard of Bart in the community, but I can't like pinpoint a time where I've like played with him. That being said, he's been around for quite a while, if I'm aware. I'm pretty sure him and another person we'll talk to are like pretty close. Once again, Bart is on the McQueens, so could be in danger in terms of that. But he seems to care a little bit more than some of the rookies here in terms of like talking to people, and they did give a pretty detailed responses in their confessionals, which is always a plus. They won natural disaster survival, which I wasn't there for. I'm pretty sure, Jacob, you were, so I'm sure you have some insight on that, but obviously that's like a crapshoot game, so I don't think he's weak by any means. He's come close in a lot of qualifiers. I think this is a fair ranking for him. If he gets past the first phase and just expands on his social capital, he might be fine. But other than that, I feel like this is like a lower mid-tier ranking, and I think like, you know, right in the, squeezing him in like the mid-third of the cast, I feel like is a fair assumption. It just depends on how the McQueen dynamics shake out.
Yeah, I mean, McQueen is just going to be a big question mark. Bart was at least there yesterday and active in the challenge, like one of their only like, 2 consistently active members, I feel like, with Spoony, who was like basically first boot every game. So Bart was the one McQueen actually having an impact in the challenge. We got to see sort of his dynamic play out. Like, he was in a room and mingled with some of the people from Dinoco and like left so that they could live. And I feel like the Hicks people did pick up on that on their call, that Bart was in with them. So I feel like his sort of social standing is very well known amongst the cast, but he is well insulated on the McQueens for the moment, and will probably make it to phase 2 because of that if he gets a favorable limb matchup or gets a flag somehow. But I think he'll make it there, but another one that's just sort of going to have to expand beyond the core group if he wants to make it farther.
Yeah, I mean, I really am excited for Bart. When I asked those questions in their one-on-ones and their confessionals, like, he was one of the people that gave me such detailed answers, and from what it sounds like, he is definitely someone that is not afraid to put his money where his mouth is at any time. If he gets put into an elimination, he's not afraid to fight in those eliminations. He's not afraid to fight into a daily. And I think we saw with this first daily that he will do anything. He's not going to hide with what his intentions are, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But I'm really excited to see this type of player that is no bullshit, ready to fight, and ready to ride with their group and really be a forefront member. I don't think he's going to take a seat back. I think he's more so going to be one of those people that's like, okay, so try it. Put me in. Send me in. See what happens. Your faves are going to go home. I'm kind of hoping that this is the energy that we get throughout the entire season with him. And I hope he doesn't go early. I think he will make it to phase 2 if the McQueens can get their shit together.
All right, and next up, we have AlexWillett.
So, Alex is another name that's been in the community for quite a while now. Um, they're pretty well known in terms of like games and overall a notable character. I'm shocked. I don't know. Like I never really heard their voice, but they were off like mute during the challenge. Maybe it's because they're like, I believe they're from the GMT time zone area, and so maybe it's late. But overall, I do think they're relatively close with Bart, which I think that's like a pretty strong connection that they're gonna have personally. Alex is someone that is a part of Team Dynaco and is going to be close with people like Mikeal as well. So I do think they're in a decent spot. They won the Total Drama Island qualifier, which, no offense, doesn't really say much because I feel like that one is easily dictated by like friendships, not to like clock their win or anything, but I do think they'll do well. I think they're well insulated in one side of the house. If they can just not like piss people off in the public and at least put in a little bit of work with some of these other people, especially once like phase 2 starts, if they're still there, then I think they'll be fine. But I could probably easily see them being one of the people that get given a key. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Alex seems like they'll have one of the stronger games in sort of the large alliance. They seem like someone who is maybe going to be more of like a leader. They seem fairly active. I feel like they're going to be a strong competitor. Definitely someone I'm keeping my eye on within sort of the larger Team Dynaco alliance. I expect them to be one of the power players. I don't have much more to say on. I don't know them super well or anything, but definitely someone I'm keeping my eye on.
Yeah, I'm really excited for AlexWillett. I've actually seen Alex around for many years in the community. She has been a force to be reckoned with in the past. Very fun player to watch, honestly, from what I've heard from other one terms and everything else. And she does have the connections with Mikeal. She has Adore. She has Bart. Like, not only is she well insulated in that group, but she also has her own subgroup in that group, which makes it more exciting to watch because she probably will have that social capital to get her far into this game. And she is also a good physical competitor. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of Alex this season, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, and next up, I know you mentioned them just now, AJ, but Mikeal, one of two Mikes, I guess, on this season, at number 16, Nolan.
So, Mikeal used to go, I think their most famous name they had on Roblox was like Rosina Singbale or something like that.
That's who they are.
Yeah, I feel like I recognize them a lot from maybe like the survival era of the long-term type shit, or like the post one, not the old one that you would remember now. But I think Mikeal is going to be pretty well insulated. He had a moment yesterday where he said he was going to eat Shane's dog, it ended up being Shane, but he didn't obviously know who it was because of some stuff that happened yesterday in the daily. That being said, I do think he's going to be well insulated. I think he's pretty decent at comps. I think maybe I ranked a couple people that like are interchangeable above him or below him, but overall, like I said, well insulated. He is also on Team Dynaco. So if Team Dynaco gets like a win within these 3 challenges, I think he's another candidate to just receive one. But regardless, like at the end of the day, there's still 18 flags being given out. It's not like anyone's getting like no flags and not making it onto the next round. So, I mean, he might just squeak by to phase 2, but I think he'll be one of like the mid-season boots if I had to put a pin on it now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like maybe I've just seen a little more from a couple of other people in that group so far that are like lower on your rankings that we've already talked about. So I would have maybe put Mikeal like 1 or 2 spots lower. But I don't know him outside of this. Like when you said that other username, it meant absolutely nothing to me. So clearly I'm not the best source of information. So I'll take your word for it that he's strong. I just, in the context of God of Games Season 9, I've not seen as much in like the one-on-one server from Mikeal. Like I just even clicked through some of his chats. Like there's a couple of people he just like hasn't answered So I'm interested to see his game, but I could see him kind of being a mid-season boot.
Yeah, I mean, same. I really haven't seen him put the work in that I was hoping that I would see someone from that big alliance put the work in for. Like, I don't see them having those conversations. I mean, I know he's pretty well insulated within his group, so it might just be a matter of, like, he's really going to depend on the group more than, like, other people that we've mentioned prior, which would honestly make me almost want to think that maybe some of these people should actually be switched with Mikeal in a way. Like, Alexia, like Bart, like Hazel, like all of them before, I would almost say, and Alex W, I would say like maybe they should have been pushed up because at least they're doing like a little bit more. But I do hope that maybe we're wrong about this. I mean, he is an older school player, so I would like to see what the old school can bring to the table. Yeah.
Okay.
He probably will be a mid boot though.
All right, and this is another coming up here. Longtime veteran of Gotta Games, Spoony Joe, favorite Brit. Well, one of our favorites.
Yeah. So Spoony is the lowest ranked winner here at number 15. Not to say she's a slouch by any means. She just, there's times where I'll watch her try and she'll do really well. And then there's other times where it's like, she just like gives up and then she gets eliminated and she's like, oh, I need to come back for Gotta Games. And it's like, okay, but like, what are you going to do? You know? So like the interesting dynamic is like back in the day, Joy and Spoony had this big fucking funny rivalry. And now they're on the same team again. Maybe not for long because I believe Joy is volunteering for this elimination and which he could be taken out first. That being said, I think she's a really good social player. Like she won the Big Brother one after literally playing one of like the best like short-term like Big Brother games I've ever seen, playing the middle of two sides perfectly and getting just enough votes in the end to win. And obviously she's at the top of the rankings socially. So with there being a two-sided war, I don't think she's necessarily going to go home anytime soon. It's just I don't know that she necessarily has that drive or that like the skills to necessarily beat some of these people in the final. But that being said, like I could maybe in a world see her squeaking by to the final, but realistically, I think she's either gonna get out like around sometime in phase 3, maybe in the duo phase. But I'd be shocked if she goes in to this one. I feel like she's gonna be given one. I don't think she's gonna go into an elimination in this phase.
Yeah, I agree with all of that take on Spoony Joe. I mean, she's very funny and likable and will carry social capital. I mean, from the little I saw of her last season, I like hosted a couple of her runs and hosted her a limb. Like, she just doesn't always like seem to have the most natural instincts for some of the competitions. Like, I think if she put in more effort, she'd be strong. Clearly, she's strong. She won a season of God of Games. I could never. But I think I just have not seen as much of the like game bodiness from her that we'll see from some of the other winners, which I respect that about her. But I don't think this is going to be the best season for her to win, just given the little I know about the format. I think it'll suit more of the other game body winners more than it suits her. But she's definitely going to be well positioned on Team McQueen, and I could see her just coasting through to phase 2 by getting given a key at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I played with Spoony last season. I think actually Spoony at one point actually came for my throat. But I have respect for Spoony. I think Spoony is a really fun player to watch. I will say, like, yes, she's a winner, but I do think that when you have Pixie as a partner, you can pretty much become a winner without really having to do much. And I feel like that's noticed in the performance, at least from what I saw last season, where there is like a trick to God of Games. There is, for every daily, you have to look at the loopholes and you have to look at like what could there be power-ups that are free around there and stuff like that. And for Spoony, it doesn't seem like she does that. And that's a difference that I've seen from like compared to people like Aiden Riley that I saw in season 7, where they figured out Dig to China so easily. like all the loopholes with it. And with Spoony, I don't see her doing that. Although she's so fun to watch, she's so social. She has a lot of friends. She knows exactly how to navigate her way through. She's a Big Brother winner like I am, and so I want to see a lot of Spoony, but I don't think Spoony will win.
That brings us to about the halfway point at number 14. Nolan, you have Thomas.
Another OOOG of the
Yep.
community.
Mhm.
Someone that I have plenty of knowledge about. I wish Josh was here because they're like mortal enemies. But I think Forex, looking at last season, I think he was like the first rookie actually eliminated. And it was a tough situation where had he not been nominated against who he was nominated against, I feel like he would have made a deep run on Team Heaven. He's social. He has a lot of good connections. I feel like this is a perfect ranking for him because I think he can squeak by being close with both sides of the house. Like, he knows Patrick from way back when. And then, like, obviously he's close with Riley and he's on Team Dynaco. So as long as he doesn't get, like, necessarily clocked by, like, Riley and them and they, like, go off on him, then I feel like he should be in, like, a fine position. He stayed up all night to play the Find the Markers game and found them all. So, like, props to him. Like, it shows to me that he wants to get redemption, and it shows me that he cares about this group, so I really appreciate it. And I really do hope he does well. Physically, I don't necessarily say he's, like, the best, but he's one of the people whose social game I feel like could carry him very far. So if he gets a good partner in Phase 2, I think he'll be set. But I don't know. He's got to get his flag, obviously. But I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine for this phase. But that's why I have him at the mid ranking.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll disagree. I feel like this is too low for Thomas. I feel like he's going to go far, but I could be way wrong. But mark my words, if I end up being right, this is the moment I called it. I feel like, as you mentioned, he's really well connected on both sides. I don't see him ever being a top target. I feel like he's going to be well insulated with sort of a lot of different people. It'll come down to getting his flag. I mean, obviously anyone could go home Phase 1, but I feel like he's never going to be targeted socially. He seems like he's taking charge with, like, both sides. Like, he's the one who made the Dynaco alliance. Granted, it's like a 7-person alliance on a 9-person team, but he just seems well insulated from the little I've seen so far. I feel like he's someone who I would definitely put above some of the people that are still in the mix, but I'll save that for when we get to them.
Yeah, Thomas, I feel like I'm more excited to see him play than I was last season. I think that he's definitely more insulated than he was last season. He's got the big group of people, like Adore Riley's brigade, kind of on his side. So that's, like, great for him. As far as, like, what I remember of Thomas from his last season when he got cut early was, like, he took a strike and tried to do some fuck shit with Donovan. It got him in the ass eventually because I was able to get my lick back. But I mean, I hope that he just doesn't make the same mistakes where he does try and go for someone bigger in the earlier in the beginning of the game, because that will cost him a lot. And it was shown last season, and I just hope that, like, he plays a little bit smarter this time. I think that he has the longevity and the ability to go far. It's just a matter if he makes the right choices.
All right, and next up at number 13, another classic Gotta Games player, Caleb.
Right.
If Josh is here, he'd call him Ladder Boy. That being said, I think, like, Caleb was one of those names that was, like, a staple for, like, a while ever since he debuted. He kind of unfortunately got the short end of the stick when narratives were pushed and he was taken out in Season 7 with Tyler going in the first elimination against Ethan and Kevin, which, I mean, that's just a tough elimination matchup, I can't lie. That being said, Caleb's not really known for his physical abilities, although, like, he can win a daily if he wants to. I feel like over time his like interest in Gata games has certainly like somewhat declined a little bit to where like he used to be putting in a lot of work, and now it's like he still tries socially, but he's not like physically grinding out the games to try to figure out the strategies for his runs. But that being said, I think with being part of like this new like other side of the house with maybe like Patrick and Charlie and maybe Banana, we'll see where that kind of goes. But I don't think he's necessarily ever going to be seen as a target. I would maybe have put him farther if he showed up to this daily, but considering like 7 out of like the 9 people did, and I just fear for him in that regard. But other than that, like I think he's a great player socially. It's just physically, I think, there's still a couple of things that need to be worked on a little bit, but he's someone that has made it to the end before, and I would be shocked if he didn't make it to phase 2, if not phase 3.
I agree. I mean, I really like Caleb. He was my Summer Scorpions teammate in season 5. Granted, I think I voted him in the round he went home, but we had limited options. But I think he's someone that will always be social and always be like well connected. Won't ever be like the number 1 target, except maybe I guess in season 7. I don't know. I didn't watch that season, but sounds like that was maybe more of a Tyler thing if I had to guess. But
I can fill you in on that.
Okay. But yeah, so I think he'll be fine. My only concern is like, I don't know, being on the team he's on, will he be one of like the first choices to like get a flag? I know eventually everyone will get a flag. I don't see him like if they're not eliminated, so it'll work out, but will that sort of impact him moving forward to like phase 2 if he's like one of the last people on his team, just because there are so many game bodier people that will probably be the first choice to like get handed the captain's flags or get voted for a flag. So I mean, I think Caleb will eventually get a flag, but it could just impact his partner selection in phase 2.
I am going to make the record straight that I absolutely adore Caleb. I love the first time I played a season, I was playing with Caleb from jump. Caleb was the reason why there was fractures in the alliance, in that super alliance that happened in season 6, and he was the reason why the fracture started so early with the iconic alliance right in the beginning of season 7, because he really saw that there was an opportunity to make cracks in that alliance and start targeting the people that the Pink Peacocks were aligned with, but he kind of put the people that he trusted the most kind of on the hot seat of that alliance, which definitely costed him a lot because it caused me and Ryan to run around and get him sent in. But I love him. I think the most dangerous thing that Caleb has is his mouth. And it's not in a bad way. He's smart and he knows exactly what he needs to say to get people to flip on each other. But the problem is sometimes he gets caught in the crossfire because of that mouth. So it's a double-edged sword for him. And so I just really hope when he starts playing this game, he thinks about the mistakes that he's made in the past, what he has said that almost costed him, that got him caught in the line of fire. I hope that I see a lot of Caleb this season. I hope that he makes the mess that he always loves to make. And I hope that he really goes far in this game. I will be a Caleb stan till the day I die. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I wish he was there last season because I think that there would have been way more fun gameplay to have. But yeah, I don't know. I just really hope I see him go far. Oh my gosh.
All right, next up at number 12. Nolan, tell us about Joy.
I think looking back in retrospect, maybe this was a bit high of a ranking. Joy is someone that does a lot of like the challenge games, a lot of like Hunger Games type stuff. Like they're a competitor. They're also somewhat of like a crazy person sometimes. We had an argument in season 5 in which I tried to get them to do the elimination. They basically were like, it was a whole fucking thing, and they have not been seen since then. But being this season's theme, I said, you know what? If you really care about this series and I banned you and I stopped calling you for invites, go ahead, win a qualifier and prove me wrong. And that's what they did. They showed up to quite a bit and ended up winning Breaking Point, which is a game about like fighting and throwing knives at people, while also having somewhat of a social aspect. But they really did kill that game. And now Joy, if I'm not mistaken, is volunteering to go in this first elimination. Joy, even in the first daily, like, I feel like she's never going to be the one to do all this stuff in terms of, like, rallying the team together. So, like, in a team format, this phase, I don't really think they're in the best spot. I think they're going to be seen as more of, like, open their mouth or just, like, do some weird stuff to get the target on them instead of people it should be on. So I do see that as an issue, but they're still very physically good. I would say if I was ranking purely on physical, they're probably top 10. But just because of I'm worried about their limitations and them possibly going home first this round, which I think is the highest person that's probably possible for right now, I have to have them ranked at 12. But I'm hoping they surprise me, and maybe this won't be like a one-off return, and hopefully they'll come back.
Yeah, Joy was someone I was surprised to see at the very first qualifier, Ember Games, and they did really well at that. And then glad to see they kept coming and made it onto their season. Joy was on my rookie season 5, and hasn't been seen since. So just nice to have them back. I think again, the biggest question mark is just going to be the first elim. I think, in my opinion, if Joy makes it through the first elim, they'll make it to phase 2. I think they're going to be well enough insulated on the McQueens, like they seem to be in the main alliance on the McQueens that's developed so far. I don't think they'd be anyone like any other teams like number one targets, especially if they already like have their flag. I don't see anyone feeling the need to really vote Joy in again. So I think if they win the first elim, they should be fine to cruise to phase 2, but just a big question mark on what the matchups will be for round 1. But with the other names that are floating around, I could see Joy being a favorite to win the first elim and make it farther.
Yeah, I mean, Joy gives off like the energy of this meme, like she's so crazy, love her type of vibe, where it's just like you never know what she's gonna do. And I think that's kind of exciting in a game like this, especially where it's like you earn your keep. And so I really respect the fact that she's like, you know what, to her alliance, vote me in this first round. Let me get my key. Let me get my flag. Let me take my back seat after it, and let's ride it out. And hopefully everyone else can get their flag that is working with her. But I do respect the game that she's playing. I'm excited to see it. It seems like she does have pretty good connections in this game. So I'm looking forward to it. I wish I was on a season where I could have played with her. But I mean, to watch it, I feel like would be just as exciting. So yeah, I don't doubt that she'll go far into this game. I think she'll definitely at least make it past phase 1. Definitely phase 2, possibly phase 3. She'll be maybe an early boot, if anything. Who knows?
Falling just short of Nolan's top 10 at number 11, we have Mikey.
I love Mikey.
Well, apparently not enough to put him in top 10s.
Well, I'm going to get to that. So, Dota Games historians like AJ, who update the wiki, probably know that Mikey has never made a final, and he's coming on to his 7th season, which is never a stat you necessarily want to have.
7th time's the charm.
Right. Mikey has always been someone that, like, physically is pretty good. Like, he's not bad. He's not a slouch. And the game he qualified for was Past the Bomb, which I take full responsibility for because I DM'd him when that qualifier came up, knowing how well he did last season. And I was like, oh my gosh, look what the God of Games qualifier is today. And then he showed up late and ended up winning. So that is just one game. Like, that's his shit. So, like, and AJ would know as, like, he got whooped. Team Hell got whooped in that daily. But I think this being, you know, at number 11 is a perfect spot for him. Mikey's another one of those people where, unfortunately, I feel like it's law of diminishing returns, at least at the beginning of a season, because it's like, you lose so many times, it's like, okay, well, like, why am I bothering, you know, doing it when you're back? But I do think, you know, he could make it far if he wakes up. He's on the red team, and he did get a pretty low ranking. He's not really going to be that active socially, I feel like, at the beginning part, but if he gets his flag, I think he'll be fine. I really do want him to do well, and hopefully he makes his first final. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Mikey, I love Mikey. He was a fan favorite or production favorite or whatever last season. All of America cried when he went home. It was devastating. It would be great to see him make a final. I think he's always going to be the same Mikey that you expect, strong at competitions. Will get there socially, even if he's taking a little while to warm up this season. But yeah, it's just, will it finally be the time that the stars align for him? And it's really just going to come down to the luck of the draw. I feel like he's got all the makings of someone who could make a final. Things just haven't gone his way. But with this format, it'll be a lot of it more in his control than I feel like it has been in other formats. So this could finally be his time, as we've been saying, seventh time's the charm.
Yeah, my dear Mikey. I love that. I love that man. He really does give it his best shot every single time. I will say that. Mikey is someone I love. Mikey is someone that every single time I see him in a game, I know I have a number. I know I have an ally in him. My concern with Mikey this season, though, is that instead of being a little social this time, he said that he's going to take a back seat. He's going to rely on his physical strength, and he's kind of like flipping the roles from Alex, who's like his right Alex C, who's pretty much his best friend, his number one ally in most games that he plays, which is kind of a concern because like Alex socially, crickets, I don't really know, but Mikey socially, he does have the ability to work with that. So seeing that now they're flipping kind of like their roles in their games, I'm wondering if maybe that's the trick that he needs. But at the same time, I don't know if he'll have like the ability to get through as far if he's not doing that social game, because right last time we saw he made it right before the final and he kind of had everything set up, and maybe that demoralized him a little bit and he was like, you know what, I'm done trying to make friends, I'm done trying to like play the nice guy game. He's just going to be a aggressive player physically. I hope it works out for him. I really do. I would love to see him at least make a final. It's been too long. It's like the Anissa of the franchise, but like without winning or making a final.
All right, number 10. This is my saboteur partner from Dinos, Adore. Who wants to start with Adore?
Yeah, so number 10. I'm part of the McQueen mess right now, but ultimately I would blame for creating the McQueen mess because the captain basically was chosen by Adore. Like pretty much, I should say they chose Adore, and then Adore basically chose the rest of the team. So in that regard, like I don't really know how Adore is going to do. But I put her at 10 because physically she's a force to be reckoned with. That being said, she's another one of those people that are very vocal. And like with that group having a lot of really good people on that side of the house, it just makes more sense if I was someone to target the more vocal people that are saying they're coming after me, because I could just go in the one-on-one chats and talk with the people that aren't like completely shit-talking me in the game. But regardless, like we love Adore for that, and Adore did win the boxing game, which if y'all were there, you would know that Dino actually basically was going to win and then threw to let Adore win. So Dino could have been on this season, but instead we have Adore, which I'm not complaining about. I'm happy she's here. I think just maybe being quiet is like a good approach, because as long as maybe someone like Riley's here, Riley will probably be the bigger target. But realistically, not a bad competitor, not the best necessarily communication-wise person. Like I fear like maybe in like a duo's a limb, because I don't think she really talks on calls, but has the potential to be one of the figureheads of that side of the house if she wants to be. So I think she could win. Everyone in the top 10 are people realistically, for the most part, I think could win a final. So she could. Just got to get there.
Yeah, I mean, we love Vain Girl here at God of Games. She's a production fave, although she's switching up on me this season and choosing AJ as her favorite production member over me, so maybe I'll have to have a little talk with her about that. But
You gotta beat her in an elimination to get her to like you.
oh, unfortunately, I've never been in an elimination, so I can't claim
Wow.
that. But I think, Nolan, you're giving her too much credit for creating the McQueen mess. I feel like Kian actually didn't listen to her, because I was just looking back. She was suggesting, like, Alex McDuck, and he was like, I don't want Alex McDuck. And she was like, okay, like, the other Alex. And he just picked all these randos. So I think Kian is more to blame for the Queens being the way they are. But I think Adore is in a good spot. I do think Riley is, like, a bigger sort of villain this season than Adore. Like, I think Adore last season was more of, like, the ace of, like, the franchise, or not the franchise, but of the sort of her, like, her alliance. Like, I feel like Aiden was more in, like, the backseat, and Adore was, like, the more, like, visible fighter with people. Whereas this season, Adore will be in the backseat, and Riley will be the one fighting. So I think she's well positioned. She won't be, like, maybe target number one on that side. Like, they'll probably go after Riley first, but I think she'll deliver this season as always. She'll bring the ratings.
Adore mom. Like, honestly, she is a force to be reckoned with in this game. I will say that. Like, she is someone that, I mean, I tried to work with her. She is a very hard person to work with. If you're not like her friend, you don't know how she operates, which was my experience, because she will change her mind every 5 seconds. Love it though. Kind of iconic, to be honest. She almost gave me a run for my money with the elimination that I went in against her. But I think that if you don't give her a puzzle, she can really fling some bitches. I think that she's really, really well set up this season with all her friends that she's got. And she's friends, I think, with more people than Riley's friends with. But I don't know if that's as known. My one concern could be that with people like Patrick, with people like Charlie and stuff like that, they're going to want to go for the head of the snake. And if they are smart, they know that Adore is the head of the snake, not Riley, although Riley might be the stronger one of the two. So that could be a thing where she might face a lot of targets and she might have to go in a bunch of times. But we've seen Adore last season. Adore's not afraid to go in. She won't even vote sometimes. And she'll go in and she'll fling and then she'll come back and she'll be like, okay, what's next? So let's see what this girl's got. I'm excited. I hope she can make a final. I mean, I played 2 seasons with her and she has not disappointed me, honestly. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's got.
Number 9 is another big name in Gotta Games. We have X Charlie X.
Yeah, so this one may shock people. I don't know. I feel like maybe because I'm friends with him, you guys might have expected me to put him a little bit higher. And I'm sure some of the names I have a little bit higher are probably going to have you shook once you hear them. But realistically, the reason I have Charlie at 9 is because, like, he's very much, like I said with some other people, like, sometimes he can be get out of your own way. To where, like, it seems like every season we see him where he's, like, playing really good or, like, in a really good position, playing the middle, or, like, has a bunch of people wrapped around his finger. And then it's, like, a deck of cards. Like, you're trying to put the last card on the top, and then it just collapses, and then he goes home. And, like, for someone that I believe this is his 7th season as well, he has only made the final, like, a handful of times. So I believe, like, twice. So, like, you know, recently he's been struggling a lot more, and physically I think he has the drive and he wants it, but I don't know that he'd be willing to betray some of the higher people on this list that we'll get to. And, like, if he's not going to, then he's probably just going to lose to them at the end of the day. So it's not that I don't want him to win. It's just, 1, he's got to get out of his own way. 2, he needs to take out some of the biggest threats of him winning, because I do think he's a top 10 competitor. He just needs to, like, put him in a position to win a final.
Yeah,
And
I
he
agree.
also won. Sorry.
I wouldn't.
I was
Go ahead.
going to say he also won Lab Experiment, which, crapshoot.
I think he would have won something else had he not won that. But I think the level of, I mean, just from last season, being my first on production and having access to all, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff, just the amount of time he put into the game was nice to see. I mean, I think he's always going to be someone who gives 110%. I just don't know if his decision making is always the best when he's giving that effort. I feel like last season he had some like unforced errors, like and pissing some people off that he didn't need to. And he was actually pretty decently positioned up until then. But this season, I think he's going to be well positioned again. It just will come down to will he make any mistakes and will he be able to wake up for 4 p.m. dailies moving forward? Because that was already a big miss to not have him at the first one, you know, could hurt his chances at getting an early flag.
Mm-hmm. Charlie. Where do I begin with Charlie? My relationship with him is very complicated. He had been brutally targeting me in season 7. Season 6, he thought I was a sheep, and I had to clock that real quick. With, of course, Jess's help and Alex's help. That was lovely. He got his karma. That was cute. But like Nolan said, Charlie has a habit of getting in his own way every single time. Charlie was the one that came up with the idea for Hell to throw one of those dailies, and what happened? Charlie went into elimination. Charlie went home because he got one of the hardest people to go against. So, I mean, it's a really tough thing with Charlie. I mean, I want to say that I could see him making a final, but at the same time, it really depends on decisions that he makes. And with Charlie, I really have I question him a lot with his decisions. He really doesn't seem to have good decision making ever. So I mean, I really want to see him go far. I do like him. We worked it out on the remix, but no pun intended with X Charlie X. But we'll see how it goes. He's such a crapshoot. He's a wild card. I understand why he's this high because he does have the performance to back it up, but who knows? It's Charlie. Anything could happen.
All right, number 8. We were actually just talking a little bit about before the podcast. AlexCloverz.
So I don't even know. Number 8, I think it's fine. Alex is just known not to put in any social work at all, and every season he's like, I'm gonna put in more work, and then kind of really doesn't. That being said, he's made 2 finals before. He's a competent competitor when it comes down to it. He'll just start taking people out in elimination it's, taking out the trash. He's that good. That being said, obviously we kind of saw a situation last season where he kind of threw to Mikey so Mikey could stay in the game and hopefully make his first final. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. That being said, I like Alex, but I don't really know where his head's at. He's on Team Hicks, but socially he's one of the more expendable people on that team because they probably think he really wouldn't care that much if he had to go in and get a flag, probably. But like I said, Alex is someone that, barring some upset, he's probably going to be in the season for the majority of it. And so he is someone that if he makes a final and doesn't have a meltdown, as I've seen a couple times in previous finals, then could probably be top 5 in terms of winning that final. So best of luck to him. I hope he takes it seriously and gives it his all.
Yeah, I'm a big Alex McDuck fan. I came on this podcast last year picking him as my winner and saying he needed to win and I was rooting for him. It was a little disappointing last season, I can't lie. I told him I needed to know if he was going to take this one seriously before I came on another podcast and hyped him up, and he said he was serious about taking it seriously. He came to the first daily. He's in an alliance chat, I feel like, somewhere, yeah. So, I mean, that's more than I can say from him last season. So he has improved. I'll just need to see a little more before I come on here and say he's my number 1 pick again, but I'll always root for him. I think he's one of the funniest people in God of Games. I don't even know why. There's just something about his sense of humor that just makes me laugh. I don't know. So I'll always be rooting for Alex.
I'm very excited for Alex as well. Alex is another person that when I see him in a game, I work with Alex because Alex and Mikey, it's like peanut butter and jelly. And I love me some peanut butter and jelly, so I'd be going with them all the time. Alex is a strong player. Like Alex can get shit done when he needs to get shit done. I personally really, really hope to see him go far. I hope to see him win. I saw that this season he is trying to play socially, and I'm already seeing him actually put the work in. Granted, we already have seen the icon, we see the quit picture and everything, so we don't know where that's going. But Alex, as a individual right now, I see him putting in the work. He really wants to play this middle game, and I just hope that like because he is so strong physically, he can actually pull that off. Because when it comes to a strong player in God of Games, it's hard to play that middle. You kind of have to be someone that's like unknown or like a dark horse in this game to do that. And with him, he's kind of like a front runner to win. So I see him going into eliminations, but I also see him coming back from any elimination that he's put in, unless he feels like throwing and giving up. But I think in a season like this where you have to earn your keep every single time, I don't think he's going to. I think he's ready. I think he's coming into this game with a whole new mindset, and I'm excited. I'm Team Alex. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, well, we're in the home stretch. Nolan, why don't you tell us about number 7, Shane, and why you put him there?
Yeah, so Shane is actually the highest ranked rookie on this list. When I saw in the Hunger Games was nothing short of a massacre. That man, I mean, Jacob, you saw, like, he killed everyone he needed to kill. It went to a tiebreaker. He slayed a Hall of Gamer. Like, that is everything you want to see when you make your debut. And even after that, he kept showing up to qualifiers because he wanted to compete. So that man is a legend. I expect really good things from him. He is someone that, like, he was very vocal on Team Hick's call, and he was a front, like, big part of them winning, often joining the other team and, like, throwing on purpose to make them lose. So he's not afraid to make enemies, which could be a knock against him. But he is getting the second flag, I believe, so he does have a choice of who he wants to be partners with, which I think if he chooses someone good, like, they'll be unstoppable, and I think that could easily get him into phase 3. So I think he's a front runner. I'm not necessarily sure where I'd rank him in terms of, like, competing, but he seems really good right now. So I took a risk, and I don't know if he put rookies this high, but I expect big things from him, and I expect him to do good.
Yeah, I completely agree. At that very first qualifier, was pleasantly surprised by him. I didn't know what to expect. When it came down to him and Brody, no shade to Brody, I was just really rooting for Shane because that man is crazy in the best possible way. Like, he just was very loud and screaming on the call, and he did that during the daily yesterday too, but in, like, a more likable way than maybe some of the other talkative people in this cast that we've already discussed. A little less annoying in some respect. He's just very funny. I feel like he's going to deliver at every moment of this season, and I hope he's in it for the long haul because he's set up right now for a great debut rookie season, and I hope we get as much of him as we can.
Alright, well, some of you guys are excited for Shane. I am kind of not. And it's one reason, it's because he's coming from a bestie, Timmy's neck. He's got his foot on Timmy's neck, like I've never seen someone have on his neck before, and that concerns me. I will always be Team Timmy over Team Shane, but I am looking forward to actually seeing a strong rookie come into this game and not really be afraid to call out shit how he wants to. I've definitely heard of this account before. Like, I know who Clash Helsing is. Like, he is someone that was known in the community for a while. Do I think he's going to go home early anytime soon? No. I think he's got really good longevity for this game. He's a good competitor. I saw the firsthand what happened in Hunger Games. Brody was telling me all about it too, and I was just like, well, that's gaggy considering that you're you. So let's see what Shane's got. I'm always for a rookie making a final on their first season. Let's add another one to that club.
All right, number 6, Riley.
Speaking of making, no, I'm just kidding. Um, Riley, I think, I say this about everyone on the podcast, and then like every time I speak on it, like it ends up going to like shit for them. But I'll go ahead and say it for Riley. Riley is now the token played multiple times and never went home. In previous times, it's been Ryan before season 6 and Zach before last season. And so, with Riley, this is the first season without Aiden, so I think that is going to be an interesting dynamic, seeing how close they are together. But Riley is still trying to run a tight ship among her team. She's probably seen as the figurehead of Team Dynaco. So, in some regards, I think people were looking to send her in as first elimination, but they're trying to use the format and the importance of getting your flag early rather than late to try to block her out. So, that could play an impact into the second phase. But, like, Riley is still a very strong competitor. I think when she's not having, like, a meltdown, that she can be very good in competitions. Like, so realistically, I think this is a fine spot. Obviously, she's going to have a big target on her back down the road. But I do think, she has a lot of mist over a bunch of people. And I think that's why she's appropriately where she is. And it'll be interesting to see, once again, how she does without Aiden. Obviously, she won the challenge auto against quite a few good people and ran that with an iron fist as well.
Yeah, Riley's already made a mark on the season. I feel like just not afraid to be bold and put him, her, I don't even know. Himself out there?
I think him.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. Put himself out there. I think, like, his antics were trying to get a flag, obviously. But I think the winning team kind of saw through that. They're, being a little more strategic, not just falling for the immediate bait. So Riley's going to have to really work, I guess, a little harder. Won't get a flag this round, but we'll have more chances. I expect him to get one, definitely. I think we'll be around for the long haul, but we'll have an uphill battle against some of these maybe still to come people that are going to be bigger threats in the season. But it's someone I expect to fully make it to phase 3 as sort of the leader of that side of the house.
Riley's a great competitor. Riley won season 7 with Aiden. Granted, Aiden is not here. But Riley's, like everyone has said, Riley's running a tight ship. But I will say that the biggest concern is that there are some people that have like the mental stamina to repeatedly go into an elimination and keep fighting through it. And then there's people that do not have the mental stability, especially when they're continuously losing numbers. And when 3 people are going home every round, those numbers on a 9-person alliance can dwindle pretty fucking fast. And so with Riley, I just wonder if he or she will have the mental stamina to actually stay in this game for a long time. That's my one concern, because as we know, he can fly off the handles at any moment. There was a reason why he got disqualified in a season 4, in his rookie season, I believe, and then came back and made this grand win. Let's see what happens. I'm excited. I think that when you put Riley on a season, I've seen Riley in like other long terms and everything. That's a menace. That's a menace right there that you don't want to deal with. So, I don't know. It's like a 50-50 shot. Either he makes a final or he like melts down midway through and burns out fast.
Okay, that brings us to the top 5. And at number 5, Nolan, you put Adam.
Yeah, so I actually cut Adam from last season, along with number 4, who we'll be talking about. And I think I regretted both decisions. That being said, Adam didn't win, and he won I-1 Royale against, like, Brian and Hardwood. Like, there was a 3-person thing. Nobody showed up to that qualifier. But Adam is someone that, like, he's social to where people would like to work with him, and I think he could be in both groups. I think he's sneakily good at competitions. People underrate him a lot, but even debuting in season 6, like there's a lot of people that he ended up being able to take out. So I think he's definitely underrated in that aspect. The more I think about it, maybe I did put him too high, but at the same time, like, who's really going to target Adam, you know? So the only issue is I could see him maybe getting partnered up with someone undesirable if he makes it to phase 2, and them being like, well, it's just Adam, like, we got to get the other person out, and that could hurt him. But I think right now he's being, like, associated with, like, Riley and Adora's group, when I feel like he's more open than people think he is. So I don't really know. I want him to make the final this time. I'm rooting for him. I'm glad he's back. He's one of my favorite British people, so hopefully he does well.
Yeah, I mean, I am a random Adam Kindlefire stan, and I don't even fully know why, but I was a big advocate for casting him and or Ben on last season, and was not listened to, but it's okay. They're both here this season. I will say I do feel like he's a little too high, though. All that said, like, he's someone that I would have put a little lower on this list just due to not really being in either group, and I feel like both groups kind of are going to think he's with the other group. Like, I've seen some talk about him being with, like, the Adored group, but I feel like seeing the Adore group kind of clock him for being a little, like, annoying and openly, like, talking to everyone. Like, I feel like I saw them, like, put his name out there as someone to draft on the McQueen team as, like, an easy vote moving forward. So, I mean, could he win in a limb? Sure. But I don't think he's going to be the best setup socially. So I feel like he's a little too high, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Adam is someone I'm very excited to see play again. Me and Adam have been able to work with each other, but then also at the same time not work with each other, which is such an interesting dynamic. But I think that's exactly the type of player that he is, that he can go from side to side and just kind of sneak his way through in the middle and play a really good game in that way. And when push comes to shove, if he has to go into elimination, he can fight. I think that he'll be a very, very difficult person to get out in this game if he has the right matchups in eliminations, and so I'm really excited to see what he can pull off. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a random Adam Kindlefire stan too, I think, Jacob. Like, I don't know. There's something about him that's enticing and something that, like, makes you want to see him succeed. He's such an underdog in this game, and I hope that, like, neither side really clocks him for what he's doing, because if he can get through at least this first phase, I think he's got longevity as long as he gets a good partner.
And who else to follow up into number 4 than Ben? Nolan? You have
For
Ben?
Ride or Dies.
Yep.
I think the reason I put Ben higher, honestly, came down to two things. One, when they were a duo, Adam was the reason they lost the elimination. Two, Ben is on Team Hicks right now, and I think that's a good spot for him. Obviously, he showed up. He proved he wanted to be there. Like, I do think he could be seen as one of the scapegoat options if that team doesn't win a daily. I would assume it'd probably come down to, like, realistically, probably Shane and Ben if I had to pick. But I think once he gets off that team, he'll be in a better position. And I do think, maybe I am overrating him, but I think he is honestly a little bit better than Adam in competitions. And I do think he could possibly make a big splash this season as, like, a breakout star. I don't necessarily think he's going to be doing much socially or strategically, but I'm happy we get to see him on an individual season to see how he performs individually in competitions or eliminations. He was a key part in Team Hicks winning the first daily, so I don't know. This is probably also a little bit too high, but another British person I like to watch play Gata games, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, any friend of Adam Kindlefire is a friend of mine, so I've never interacted with Ben. I didn't play on his previous season, but another one that I was sad to see cut from season 8. Glad to see him back here on season 9. Glad both he and Adam qualified. Being on Team Hicks is a good fit for him, but I do kind of agree that he could be vote if they do end up losing a daily. I feel like since Alex McDuck at the moment has actually been active and social, I could see it falling back on Ben. But if Alex goes back to his old ways, I could see it falling back on Alex. But I don't know. If Ben's good at challenges and continues to be active, I see him making it decently far. I think he'll maybe fly a little under the radar in a good way. Like, I don't think he's been as maybe clocked as Adam has yet for the social game. So he's someone that I see having the potential to make it far. And this cast, I don't know if it's going to ever amount to a win for him, just given some of the other big names here, but I could see him making it decently far.
Yeah, I mean, Ben, I'm really excited to see in this season. I think that he is definitely someone that can compete. I mean, him and Adam were a great duo in season 7, and I don't know, I think, as much about Ben as I did about Adam. So, like, I probably would have switched them and made him, like, 5th and Adam 4th. But to each their own on that. I don't know, I'm just excited to see him play. I really hope that, like, maybe they can figure out a way of, like, protecting each other because, yes, some people know that they're a duo, but not everyone's paying attention to the wiki. Not everyone's paying attention to the history. They could use that and manipulate that and really, like, maneuver through this game, and I just hope that it works out for them. They're two nice people, and that's the thing about them. Like, they're nice and they're enticing to work with, so it's hard to not want to root for them.
All right, top 3, and AJ, I think we should start with you on this one. It's Timmy at number 3.
Timmy! Oh my gosh. Okay, I love Timmy. Timmy and I worked together pretty much the entirety of last season. There was one scuffle that we had, and it was when my dear sis Brody was up for nomination as a captain, and Brody was pretty much going to self-vote, but I did not want to vote Brody in. And I said, like, I might burn a vote on you, Timmy, because I don't think you're going in. And he started trying to cuss me the fuck out and telling me I'm fake, I'm not his friend, blah, 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 blah. So there is, like, that thing where Timmy cannot always see reasoning sometimes, or, like, see another person's perspective. And I get it. He's a little bit younger than me, so, like, that's not always going to be listened to. But I love Timmy. I support Timmy's wrongs. I support Timmy's rights. And I think in this game, he can really pull it off. However, I'm so concerned with him after this first daily, because this first daily, he made so many enemies. And it's just a matter of hopefully that he can have the chats that he needs to have to get himself back in a good place, especially with that other side, because I think it was more so Adore and Riley's side that has a problem with him. He's on Team Hicks, so he's in a good position there. Then he also has to look out for Shane that's coming after him. I don't know. There's a lot of forces against Timmy, but I know Timmy's not afraid to go into elimination, and I know Timmy's not afraid to do what he has to do to win. So that's a villain, mama. Let's see what I hope he can pull it off. I really do. I think that there's a lot that he can pull off. I think he's got a great social game. He's very smart. He's got a great head on his shoulders, and he's not bad physically. So I'm riding for him.
Yeah, I think honestly the highest. This is probably a pretty high ranking. I'm not saying it's not undeserved. I think after seeing what we saw last season, it's kind of hard to gauge because it's a team season. But I do think Timmy is going to be decently well insulated with one side of the group. That being said, he's probably one of the more outspoken people of that side of the group, or side of the game, I guess. But I do like his chances. I think physically, if there's more of a question mark, not that he's bad. Like, he's obviously really good. It's just I don't know if he's in the elite level that I probably put the first 2 people in. But I think he should be able to navigate things pretty well. And with phase 2, like, I was on the call and they're already, like, joking about, like, Surshek's coalition format probably being somewhat similar to phase 2, and I was like, whoa. So they're not, like, entirely wrong. It has similarities to what we're doing in phase 2, so it's something he's probably used to. So overall, I feel like he's in a good position. He won the Puzzle Duels game, which he himself said he wasn't even trying to like qualify for. So I'm hoping he does well, and we'll just have to see.
Yeah, Timmy was a delight to have last season. A production fave for sure. Great confessionals, just great presence in the game. Looking forward to seeing what he does this year. I feel like he's off to a great start with being on Team Hicks and being in some alliances. After the daily yesterday, yeah, I got into a little with Riley and whoever else. I think he at this point is kind of expecting to get voted in. Like I saw him earlier today even tell like Pixie Pete said that like he didn't want Pixie's vote for the flag. Like he just expects to go into it a limb. So I mean he's prepared to do whatever it takes to get his flag. And I think he's well positioned. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't even know what started the like Shane Timmy beef, but hopefully that got like squashed in the daily yesterday because that team worked well together. So I think he's in it for the long haul. I think someone we're all hopefully rooting for.
That brings us to number 2. And number 2 is Pixie. Nolan.
So Pixie actually is the person that has taken the most time in between seasons. The last time he was on was season 3, and we saw him crossing the finish line with none other than Spoony Joe. And that's another relationship that'll be somewhat interesting to see play out on this season. Spoony obviously has since played a bunch more seasons after, whereas Pixie is not. He's been on production. He's watched a couple of seasons. And overall, he's just, a pretty solid competitor. Obviously, like I have him ranked at number 2. I think it was him and Patrick in a final. It would obviously be a huge dogfight, which, I mean, obviously is spoiler alert for number 1. But the reason I have him at number 2, I think socially, like, I didn't necessarily know how close he was with, like, Riley and stuff, and Riley and Adore. So I think those 3 are going to be, like, really tight in the game, but obviously he's still somewhat close with Patrick and all these other people. So until he makes his first move against them, they're really not going to expect anything from him to like make a move, and they probably think he's going to be more of just like a competitor. But I think this is probably going to be the more strategic we see of him compared to his past experiences. And I think because of his relationships, and he's probably the best bet to beat Patrick in a final. I think 2 is a really appropriate ranking, and I'm really actually excited that he came back. He's been dying to play, but he really only wanted to play an individual season. But it turns out he has to play all 3 duos and teams as well. So hopefully he does well. I just hope he has a good enough time that we don't have to wait 6 seasons to see him again.
Yeah, I mean, Pixie Pizza, I've never played with him, so I was a little surprised to see sort of where he fell socially. I just expected him to be more in with, like, the other game bodier people, like Patrick and Charlie. I was surprised to see that he seems closer to Adore and Riley, but I think that will go well for him. I think he's going to be covered on all sides for now. It seems like he's a contender to get the flag. I don't know how the votes will end up falling. It seems like it's between him and Patrick right now for a flag. I'm sure they'll both obviously end up with one at some point. He's in it. Pixie's going to be in it for the long haul. And if he just keeps having drama with like lesser threats, he's definitely going to keep making it far. Like right now, if his biggest enemy is Nacho Man, then I think he's definitely going to be in it for the long haul. But yeah, we'll see if he wins in the end or not. It's going to be a clash of the titans with some of the top heavy hitters of the franchise.
Yeah, Pixie is not someone I like really know of too much. I mean, like I know Pixie from like the community for a long time, but like I never really played a game with Pixie. I know he's good at pretty much everything. I was also, Jacob, very shocked with where he fell socially with the other side pretty much. I really was expecting the whole Patrick and Charlie alliance with him, and it did not come to fruition, which I was so shocked that he was so close to the door. But you know what? More power to him. I guess he's picking kind of like the side that he thinks will work for him the best. I mean, he sees that whole pre-bait there, so he's doing what he has to do. I mean, granted, he is such a good competitor that I don't think whichever side he went on, I don't think he really has to worry, because if he has to go into elimination, he will probably come back. But I don't know. I do find it weird. I'm going to say it again. I found it a little weird that the pixie dust comment was such a trigger for him. I mean, like you said, you are a grown man, so like even being called pixie dust, why are you caring that much? Especially when someone is. Nacho Man was probably really just trying to like make light and try and be nice and try and be funny to like ingratiate himself in with another person. And I guess like some people can take a joke early on, some people can't, and I guess Pixie's one of those that can't. I don't really know too much, but I did find it weird. If that's the behavior that he goes with the whole time, I mean, like, cool, whatever. It was weird to me.
I do agree with that. I felt weird.
It felt weird. It felt like it was literally one comment, and you go on like a little bit of like a tangent, being like, "I'm a grown man," blah 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 blah. Like, okay, like, relax, buddy. It was pixie dust. It was like your name is Pixie.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if he takes William's suggestion to go by his first name, if he doesn't look that anymore.
Right, like, you're a grown man, and you named yourself Pixie, too. So, like, let's also, like, look at it from both ends here, buddy. I don't know. Just a little weird. I'd be more excited to see Patrick than I am him any day.
Well, I think you guys have figured out who number 1 is.
Yeah.
And that, of course, Patrick, who seems to be up at the top of these rankings every season that he plays. So Nolan, why don't you tell us why you think Patrick is number 1?
I mean, when you're in the Hall of Game, you know, you got to be close to the top. So, that being said, Patrick single-handedly, like, led Team Heaven to victory pretty much. With Tyler, I would say that those two were, like, the big helpers in terms of knowing what to do in the final. He's obviously a great competitor, only ever losing one elimination to Alex, who is obviously here. The thing I think that could hurt Patrick the most in this game is possibly the flag system, and depending on what partner he gets for next round. That's like the really only one portion of this game I'm really worried for him. But if he can survive that, then I think he's probably home free unless he loses some fluke elimination, which you never know. I mean, many people have. So, you know, we'll have to see. But, I mean, obviously he's going to be working with similar people that he has been in the past, like Charlie and Caleb. And he should be, if these people are smart, he should be the main house target of the other side. But we'll have to see how people react. But ultimately, like, it just doesn't make sense to put anyone but Patrick here at number 1, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, his track record speaks for itself. We all know Patrick. We've all seen Patrick play. He's good at everything that's thrown his way except for Wordle, apparently. But I expect him to go far this season. I don't think any of us would be surprised to see him in the final or win. He's obviously going to work with a certain group of people, and that's fine. I feel like Patrick is just a certain type of personality where he's never going to, like, work. Like, he's just not going to be, like, besties with, like, the super dramatic people. He's just always going to kind of be in the more, like, I guess, chill side of the house. Never, like, the biggest character, but always a solid competitor. And that's worked for him in the past, and it'll probably work for him here.
Yeah. I mean, it's Patrick. Like, there's... What is there to say that hasn't been said? It's Patrick. He's pretty much good at everything. He's not going to go home anytime soon. He's going to go into eliminations, and he's going to do just fine in those eliminations. Let's be real for a second. Like, he's kind of like that person that's like, you see him on a season, you're like, well, shit, okay, so who's getting second kind of vibe. Because it's like, once you see him on a cast, it's going to be very hard to get him out, especially if he starts getting a bona fide position in a game. I mean, I saw it last season. He had Let's wrapped around his finger like it was not a problem. And it costed us a final. I mean, like, it's just crazy that, like, he does have a lot of power in this game, and it's very interesting to see. I will say, like, him not gravitating toward a more so dramatic people. I mean, he's literally in an alliance with Charlie, Timmy, and Alex. So I
Fair.
mean, like let's talk about dramatics. I don't think that there's not a lot of. I think everyone here is pretty fucking dramatic. So I mean, he's got slim pickings on that choice. So he's gaining drama one way or another, probably just because of who he's going to be associated with. It's just a matter to see how he handles that drama, which I think he does pretty well. He's a pretty mature person. He's very nice. Like, there's not really a bad thing to say about him besides the fact that it's like kind of underwhelming to see someone come back and you kind of already know the outcome of what the season's going to be because he's on the season. Like, give someone else a chance. That's
Wow.
it. It's nothing bad. It's nothing against him. It's just he's so good that it's like it's frustrating to watch him sometimes because you're like, damn it! Like I want my other friends. Like I want Timmy to win. I want to see someone new win, and I just don't see it happening if Patrick is there.
So before we wrap up and say our goodbyes, we do this little tradition where we predict the first boot and predict the winner pick. And for my first boot prediction, I'm going to say Kian. In terms of winner picks, I'm going with Pixie Pizza.
All right. Well, my first boot pick is TBH Aiden. Oh wait, sorry. No. No. Okay. So I'm also gonna say Kian.
that can stay.
What?
That can stay. That part can stay.
Yeah. My real first boot pick is gonna be Kian as well. And winner pick, it's boring, but I'm gonna say Patrick.
I would say that the first boot, yeah, I mean, it would probably be Kian for me too. I also wouldn't be surprised if David. As a winner pick, I mean, on a realistic level, I see Patrick. On my delusional, like having faith in everything that happens and like maybe the stars align and we get a new winner, I would really like to see Timmy or Alex.
I'll just make it a clean 4 for 4 on first boot. I'll go with Kian. I feel like it's just the logical choice. Winner pick. I hate to agree with Nolan, but I'm going to go with Pixie Pizza.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. It's been another great podcast, and we will look forward to the new seasons and podcasts to come. But from that being said, I'm Kettle of Stick, signing off. Everyone say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, bitches.
Bye.